Carlin Hicks with you for round 2 of the 2021 Season 2 Flux Motorsport IndyCar Championship here at Willow Springs. We are running on the Flux American Tour. Looking forward to a fantastic race, second round of the championship. I'm going to pull up our stats and whatnot here. I am your host tonight, Carlin Hicks, as I am for every race on the Flux Motorsport American Tour, as we are back and ready for a fantastic round. Got a few late arrivals, hoping to see them before the end of qualifying, including the defending race champion, Dale the Whale, from a season ago. So we are definitely hoping to see him make his way in. In the meanwhile, we've got some new drivers this season. We've got some at-large starters, such as the Flux European Tour veteran Bruce Law, who's in the field. We're going to be talking about him a little. Let me get myself out of harm's way. And we will discuss some of that, as always, in a Flux Championship event. 20 minutes for the qualifying session for a 45-minute feature event. We're going to walk you through the track here as well as working right there on the defending Flux Motorsport IndyCar champion from 2021 Season 1. Won 4 of 7 races last season. That is OGR Cat Guy, the longtime veteran American driver. Took 4 wins from 7, was second place here at Willow Springs a season ago. He is a veteran who has run this event at this track for many, many seasons, going back to previous sanctioning bodies before Flux Motorsport, so he knows his way around this course. As we said, took 4 wins from 7 last year and the inaugural Flux IndyCar Championship. But his start to his title defense last week did not go so well, as he did not score in the season opening event. He had a mechanical problems a week ago, and so comes in with 0 points on the board. So that is going to be just like the guys going in. Those of you caught our broadcast of the Flux American Sports Car Championship last night. Look at, it's only round 2 of 8, but you don't want to dig too big of a hole in such a tight championship. But I think it's time we give some track time to It's Your Boy Squash in the Hydroxy Cut Chevrolet number 11 car. He picked up his first career Flux Motorsport IndyCar victory 1 week ago in the season opener on the Daytona International Speedway Super Speedway. And a lot of buzz around It's Your Boy Squash this season, that he has that Chevy Dallara dialed in, that he's got a package around that car that is championship ready. And as you can see, he's already half a second in front here in the early moments of qualifying. So we could be looking at the future champion, but it's a long way to go, and you got to keep yourself out of trouble. He had a terrifically fast car a week ago at Daytona and was very, very quick, pulled out in front, had a car that was very quick in the corners, which surprised most of the veterans of the series. But he looks to be already here in fine form. As I mentioned last night, you can see a lot of shakeups in qualifying sessions as the live track sees the rubber laid down. The grip will get better. You'll see the fastest lap times, much as in real life, in the final 5 minutes or so of the session. So a long way to go as these guys look to sort it out. not seeing our second place finisher from a week ago, O'Brien, in the field, wondering if he might be one of our late arrivals, but our third place finisher running there in second, making a pit stop in the number 20 Chevy Dallara. That is Jiggly Jello, after finishing on the podium last week at Daytona with a third place finish. He comes in here. He was fourth in this event one season ago, so this is definitely a contender here. Off to a good start on the season, has a track where he knows he can run well at. Give you a little time to explain the cars once again, as I do every week. The Indy cars are in essence a spec package. It is a Dallara chassis by the Italian manufacturer Dallara. Every team in IndyCar gets one with two aero configurations, the speedway configuration and the road course configuration, which is what is obviously on there now. More downforce, bigger wings, bigger side pods, bigger air ducts, the whole 9 yards. But the teams have a choice of engine, the Chevy and the Honda. They put out identical horsepower and torque. They are in essence identically the same, but do have slightly different setup packages that the guys can use. The Chevy has been the dominant motor for a long time in the IndyCar Championship, but we've seen Honda drivers win and Honda drivers compete. And that'll give us time to go right down third in the order to the driver who finished fourth last week at Daytona, and therefore is the de facto fourth place driver in the championship. That is Taijo. Taijo has had a tremendous weekend after flying over on the corporate jet from Europe. He ran to his first career win in the Flux American Sports Car Championship last night in his Ford GTE. That was also the first win in the Flux ASC for the Ford GTE, so pretty nice bonus from his corporate benefactors at Ford, I'm sure. But Taijo thrilled to get that first career win in the series, and will be looking to do a similar thing tonight, as his partner tonight is the Honda. He's running the number 18 Honda. From here on out, I'll refer to the cars as Chevys or Hondas now that you know they are all Dallara chassis. But we will see if Taijo can get that. Currently running a 101.2. This is one of those tracks that you will see among the biggest drop-off in delta times because of tire wear. You've got two choices of tire: the red side walls, those are the alternates, the softer tires, and the black side walls, the harder tires, and you may use them in any combination that you wish. Now, our graphics here in the broadcast may not reflect that. We will often just see the red sidewalls, but I can assure you guys are going to be using the primaries as well. In fact, I anticipate at a place like Willow Springs more primaries than alternates. Last week's fifth place driver Pogo Mojo also not in the field. Dale the Whale, the defending race winner, sixth, not in there. That's going to bring us to Survivor. New car this season for Survivor, the number 7 Honda, along with his teammate Green Gaiman, who's doesn't appear to be in the race this weekend. Survivor mid-pack runner most of last season, but he now finally has quite a bit of wheel time underneath him. Looking pretty solid, running in sixth right now. I believe he can get a little bit more speed out of that Honda, but this is a guy who has had some good runs. We'll take a look at his season from a year ago, or a season ago, I should say. Did not manage to get on the podium, but as I said before, did manage to finish 7th in the championship with a best finish of 4th place. And so this is a guy who's knocking on the door to getting up into that top 5 and competing for race wins and championships. We saw what Green Gaiman, his teammate, did last season. Just staying consistent, fixing the car. When he got damaged, he wound up being the runner-up in this championship. So you can definitely see a team strategy there of just gritting it out. A survivor loses it there in turn 4, leaves some debris on the track, and gets himself back into the pits. Muttley was 8th place last week at Daytona, therefore 8th in the points in the number 22 Menard Chevy prepared by the Team Penske Racing Group. Muttley, a longtime veteran of the IndyCar Championship, the Australian driver. Talking before the race, he feels pretty okay about his setup. He admits that it is a long run setup, does not expect to light up the charts during qualifying, but anticipates being able to move forward over the course of the race. You know these guys are going to have to make a pit stop for fuel and tires, and so Muttley's anticipating that being something for him. Cat Guy, the defending series champion, had an inauspicious start, got caught up in a big wreck last week in the opener, the traditional opener at Daytona, and brought it home in 9th place. So his Flux IndyCar Championship title defense did not begin well, and he's looking to improve. He was the runner-up in this race last season. Took 4 wins, as I said before, overall in the championship. And as he appears, he's going to be pulling back into the pits here relatively soon in the 61 PureTech car. Currently sitting 7th with 9 minutes left in qualifying. He's going to be looking for a little bit extra speed. There's a car we are very glad to see in the field, a longtime Flux Motorsport veteran on the European Tour, the British driver Bruce Law, and this is his 2nd career start in the Flux IndyCar Championship, and he already has his win. He made an at-large appearance near the end of last season at Laguna Seca and had a fantastic car, took it home for his inaugural IndyCar victory, and he is back this week, taking the Concorde over the pond here to the Flux American Tour to run in the IndyCars. Bruce, an experienced sports car and open wheel driver on the European tours, and a bit of our Mike Conway here in Flux Motorsport, for those of you who follow IndyCar racing. He's in the preferred Chevrolet number 6 car, and we're going to have to look for him. Currently just 5th on the board here in qualifying, but still some time to go, and he is a quick one. We'll see if we do not get the curse of a guy breaking off his lap. I never get a chance to do the track walk during qualifying, so hopefully Bruce Law, he's on an out lap, he's getting ready to go hot. Hopefully he's watching, and Bruce will take pity on the poor commentator here on Flex TV and stay on it, because we are going to get into the cockpit of his Dallara Chevy, and we will walk you around as he comes around for the final turns to get ready to get to the front stretch, turns 8 and 9. Now you want to keep your momentum, obviously. One of the most vital turns on the track. It's gonna want to push you off right there. He's on it. Bruce hitting over 170, takes it. Now here's turn 1. You're going to see a slight blip of the throttle, maybe. Yep. Holding it beautifully. Now you're coming through the carousel in turn 2. This is one you don't want to get too high or too low, because it'll get you loose or push. Right there is what can happen when you get too wide, and Bruce is going to bring it in. As I said, we're going to lose our hot lap there. We'll get that done for you during the race, as per usual. S2N Remy, a longtime veteran from our former organizations that have made up Flux, trying to make his IndyCar debut, but he is having lots of technical issues getting through inspection and has, as of yet, not made it into the session. All right, let's take a look here at Hainstad. He was a driver, joined Flux towards the end of last season, made a couple of spot starts on the American Tour in all 3 series, and he is back. He had a race last week where he brought it home in 11th at Daytona, which, considering where he was running early in the race, was a little bit disappointing to him, but he's got this thing up into 3rd, a 2:20, and he is up to third here in qualifying. So we may have a dark horse contender here for his first career podium in the series in Hainstad, as he's got that 83 Ganassi Chevy pretty well locked in. He seems to be tearing it up. We may, unless Remy can get in here, I don't see some of our entries making their way in. There's conspicuous absences in Dale the Whale, Pogo, Mojo, and O'Brien. So it may be a 10-car field here at Willow Springs tonight. See if Haynes can improve that time. All right, in the number 10 NTT Data Chevy, that is Darnell. He's the rookie in Flux Motorsport this season, making his debut. Had a run last week where he failed to finish. Matter of fact, he blew his motor right towards the end of the race and failed to score, so a heartbreaker for him. But the newcomer is back here this week at Willow Springs in that NTT Data Chevy, not really finding the pace here so far during qualifying, but we'll look to see where he goes. The rest of the field all within a couple of seconds of each other, particularly the top 5 all within a second. Mark in the 21. Get back out here with Hainstad. See who's quick in what sector here, and that can tell us a little bit about where we're looking here. As you take a look at the timings overall here throughout qualifying. It's your boy Squash, last week's Daytona winner, looking to make it back-to-back. And with a minute 5.80, he has got a quick lap on the board. That is 3 with the, as I said before, with the conspicuous absences that we have here tonight. There are some surprising names or unfamiliar names at the front of the field. And so that could make for a thrilling contest. Getting myself situated here as you got the feel. Anyway, coming into this, I mean, you've got, as I said, you've got It's Your Boy Squash, who's coming back out. As you see, a lot of guys coming back out just for the last couple minutes because they know the track is rubbered up and may have gotten a little quicker. So Squash is going to try to improve his time as he won from the pole last week and will look to catch his second straight pole to start the season. I think Remy might be too late to have made through inspection, which would be unfortunate. He's looking to make his series debut, a veteran of IndyCar racing. And there's Squash, goes around a little there, coming through turn 6 and what we call Wheelhoff Ridge here at the 2.5 mile Willow Springs International Raceway in the desert, just on the outskirts of Death Valley in Southern California. And for us on the Flux American Tour, going back to even other sanctioning bodies, a long time traditional stop the weekend after the traditional opener at Daytona. So it looks like we will have 10 cars here in the field, with Squash coming in with the points lead and O'Brien out. That means that Jiggly Jello, who's going to be right on his tail, the closest to him in the championship. So it's going to throw this title chase wide open, but only round 2 of 8 in Flux 2021 Season 2 for the IndyCar Championship. And slight improvement to a minute 8.80 for Hainstad as he's up to the outside pole at the moment. Will be his best career Flux IndyCar qualifying performance ever if he can hang on. And we'll see what he's got there. I can see the frustration, though, on Cat Guy, the defending series champion, mired back there in 8th. 2 seconds off the qualifying pace. Now, he'll hope his race pace will improve. As I said, these guys probably are going to be going with the primary tires, the harder tires, on race trim. But in qualifying trim, that's why you've seen, I mean, I personally have won a race in this very class of cars here, starting, I think, 11th. So it's definitely a track where the race trim and the qualifying trim are going to be different. We got a few guys finishing up. Jiggly Jello trying to come down and put up a quicker lap time, but we will have your starting order here momentarily for what promises to be a thrilling race. It's a love it or hate it track, but Willow Springs is fast. It's aero sensitive. Anybody who watched the Flux American Sports Car Championship race last night saw Taijo pick up his first career win in that Ford GTE and do it in what was a thrilling contest all the way through. But keeping the wings on this car is, as always, going to be vitally important. Just a 10-car field, so not as much backmarker traffic. I anticipate a straight burn. All right, folks, here is your starting order for the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 Round 2 of the IndyCar Championship here at Willow Springs. On the pole for the second straight week is going to be It's Your Boy Squash in the Hydroxycut Chevy with a 1:5.80. With his best career starting order, Haynes' dad will come up second. He'll be on the outside of the front row. Jiggly Jello will start on the inside of row 2, with a third place qualifying start. Taijo will be on the outside of row 2 in 4th. Bruce Law coming over for the at-large start. Looking forward to seeing where he's going to end up in that preferred Chevy. He will start 5th on the inside of row 3, flanked by the veteran Australian Muttley in the Menards 22 Chevy on the outside of row 3. Inside of row 4 will be Survivor in the Doom Honda. He will be on the inside of row 4. Outside of 4 is qualifying 8th. Surprisingly back for him, OGR Cat Guy, the reigning series champion, will be looking to move through the field. We've got Mark C., the Aussie driver, in the other preferred car, the number 21, I believe. He'll be running in 9th, starting on the inside of row 5. And the rookie Darnell, he will be on the outside of row 5. All right, folks, we are just about set to go here at Willow Springs in the Flux IndyCar Championship. Get myself on the monitor. We, as always, will be ready to go into chase mode, which is really the best way to see these cars racing head-to-head sometimes on here. Also taking you in the cockpit, working our way around track walks here at Willow Springs. The Flux European Tour actually will make a pond-hopping stop over here next on Thursday, actually, in the GT1 Championship. They'll be racing on this track, so we'll see further Flux action here in next week's competition on the European Tour side. And I anticipate that a number of those drivers are probably watching this weekend's races just to get a feel for what a place that's probably very unfamiliar to them, but it's very familiar to the Flux IndyCar drivers. And these 10 are going to be looking to put on a show. It's Your Boy Squash will start on the pole. He's in the Hydroxycut car. He has Haynes' dad right to the inside of him. You have got to make it through turn 1 without any serious trouble. As you can see on the track map, turn 1 right there. Turn 2 is the carousel. 3, the next left-hander. 4 is the hard right-hander on the hop. Turn 5 is the one going back to the left. 6 coming over Wilhock Bridge, along with 7, and then 8 and 9 making up the back end of the gun. Barrel of it, if you will, into the very difficult final turn 9, which is it has enough banking. I wouldn't call it off camber, but centrifugal force wants to push you off the track. If you get in turn 1 or turn 9, which are really probably the two most important, well, 7 and 9 are the two most important turns on the track, and really you're going to have to Mind yourself through there. All right, here we are at rows of 2 rolling down for the start. Flux IndyCar Championship at Willow Springs is green. Looks like Squash gets a good jump. Haynes, a couple cars cutting up through the middle. That's somebody going wide there in the green. I believe that's Taijo. He collects it, gets back on the track. So from his 4th place spot, he's going to have to fight it. Somebody's going around there. And we got cars all over the course. Mark C has lost a wing as he's made contact with somebody. Survivor may have been involved in that. But Darnell and Mark C seem to have taken the worst of it, as those two coming out of it right away. Perhaps even Survivor and Muttley. Meanwhile, up front, It's Your Boy Squash shoots out to the lead over Haynes' dad and Jiggly Jello, so a little bit of separation right off the bat. We saw it right there in turn 2 in the carousel. A couple cars in the back getting banged up and may need some damage repair. The top 6 well spread out. Bruce Law moving from 5th up to 4th, switching spots with Taijo after he lost position on the track, but these two are right on top of each other. Watching the battle for 4th place, ultimately 3rd place. Let's get on to the world's fastest drone pilot here on Taijo with our Flux TV chase cam as he's coming up. Bruce Law losing a little bit right there coming through turn 6, as you can see. And these cars are all about momentum, especially at a place like this. So Taijo trying to move it in. He's going to be feeling that dirty air very, very strongly right now. As you can see, he's fighting that car just a bit. Both of them going a little wide into the sand as Darnell and Mark C both on for repairs here early on. But as we said, tire wear is going to be a factor. Let's get into the cockpit of Bruce Law as he's hoping to come up on Jiggly Jello, looking ahead to 3rd place. Bruce, as I said, previously made an at-large spot in the series, came over, signed a 1-race deal last season at Laguna Seca, and came out and won the race. Right here in turn 4, we used to call that right turn ridge. That is a very difficult section. That one right here and right here coming through turn 7, wheel hop ridge. Those are the two where you can lose traction the quickest. It's Your Boy Squash is back. Pole sitter shot out to the lead. He must have had some kind of off-track excursion. I do not see any damage to the hydroxy-cut Chevy, but he has fallen back to 4th place, so he must have had an off-track excursion, and that for the first time puts Haynes' dad, for the first time in his Flux Motorsport IndyCar career, into the lead in a Nova Nordisk 83 Chevy. So Haynes' dad moving from the outside pole to the lead here in the early going, but let's get back to the battles on the track here. Bruce Law moving up into 3rd with that as well, and he is right on the tail of Jiggly Jello in 2nd place. As you see some cones getting knocked up on the track, you do not want to have that happen. Looks like we've got a time penalty on Cat Guy. I'm going to check that out for you here in the timing, see what we got. Just a 2-second penalty, but more than you want, as Cat Guy has moved up from his 8th place starting spot up into 5th. Looks like with the amount of time lost that Darnell and Mark C both had extensive repairs. They are looking like they're going on 2 laps down here in the early going. It's Your Boy Squash getting working on Bruce Law there to get back into 3rd, and it looks like he might have him coming down the front stretch as they go by the lap cars. Ooh, Squash at the last minute darting across Bruce's front wing, and these two are diving back and forth and going at it for 3rd place. a little over about a minute a lap, 45 minutes. Do the math. We expect somewhere around, including the pit stop, 42 to 45 laps. Although my numbers were off, I'd say it's at least going to be 40 or more. And working just lap 5. So taking care of the tires, having a good fuel strategy. Looks like Muttley may have picked up some damage as he is in the pits as well. That's going to be disappointing for him. Bruce has opened up a little bit of a breather for the moment on It's Your Boy, but we're going to have to see where that sorts out. Battle for position right now. Let's get onto our cockpit cam of Taijo as he has gone from his 4th place starting position back to 6th as Cat Guy has moved up from 8th into 5th. And this is the battle for 5th place you're looking at. Taijo fighting through the carousel. You can see the understeer wants to push it. This is a very light part of the track right there. You got to burp the throttle very much. You're going to be on the power. You can see the amount of wheel input he's got. But you got to be very careful with the gears, very careful with the throttle, but you got to be fast. You got to maintain your momentum. Cat Guy, as you can see, goes through that technical section a little bit better than Taijo and pulls through. These two battled up front 1-2 in last night's Flux ASC race here at Willow Springs, and they appear to have picked up right where they left off last night in the battle here at the IndyCar Championship. Taijo, one of the European drivers who runs regularly in the Flux American Tour, and we love having him. As we said last night, picked up not only his first career win in the Flux American Sports Car Championship, but the first win in the series for the Ford GT. It looks like he's making the move on Cat Guy now, as these two are going back and forth at it, and Taijo makes it stick, moving back up into 5th place. Perhaps Cat didn't want to fight for it so much there in the early going. But Taijo does get back by, moves back up into 5th place. As you can see, the race pace much slower than the 1 minute and 101s we were seeing during qualifying. Guys running in the 102s and 103s for the most part. And as I said, traffic and that air will slow you down. And Taijo used that to his advantage last night in the sports car race here, as he was really able to maximize what he could do out front. Those two continuing the battle. Let's take a look back up front where Haynes' dad continues to lead in the 83. We said he was a newcomer to Flux towards the end of last season, made some starts in all 3 of the American Tour races, and had some good runs. I mean, had some good runs, but wasn't really able to bring home any results, as he found himself caught up in trouble, caught up in some damage and some situations. But right here, career best qualifying run on the outside pole, and has now moved himself up into the lead and running quick laps. The staying smooth. It's still early on in this race, and we're going to have to see if he can hang on. Bruce and Jiggly Jello battling it out for second. Bruce Law getting by Jiggly Jello to move up into 2nd place. Bruce from a 5th place starting spot fought his way by Taijo, fought his way by Jiggly, and has now got Haynes' dad in his sights and running quick laps. 102.6. He was 0.3 quicker that time by. So it's entirely possible that we could have a challenge for the lead here sooner than later. Looks like It's Your Boy Squash on the pit lane, and at just 9 minutes into the race, you have to believe that is an unscheduled pit stop. So for the series leader and winner last week coming in, and the pole sitter this week, that is disappointing, as this race has gone south for him early. However, as we said, these guys are going to have to make pit stops, 1, maybe even 2, depending on how aggressive their tire strategy is. So perhaps he can get back in it. He needs to be patient here. We saw Dale the Whale lose his fight for the lead last night, get the car repaired, get back out, and drive back to a 5th place run, and that's what champions are able to do. And what he's going to have to do is we're finally seeing a little bit of separation. Taijo getting a couple of seconds there on Cat Guy in front of him. But a slight bit of separation there between those guys. Taijo has fallen 6 seconds back from our leaders, Haynes Dad and Bruce Law. Not sure what happened there. Cat Guy just got by Jiggly Jello. Is he having some kind of problem? As he's gone all the way from 2nd place back to 5th here in the last couple of laps. So as I said, I told you in the pre-race and in qualifying, we were going to see rubber banding of the highest order at this track. We were going to see cars going back and forth. We were going to see tire issues. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We've already seen our pole sitter make an early pit stop. Team cars moving up, moving back. We've got a relative newcomer to the series in the lead. So the drama is building here at Willow Springs. As we said, check us out, fluxmotorsport.com, where you can sign up through the Discord and join all the fun driving and competition here at Flux Motorsport. You also can find our Flux store there for all the best merchandise and swag you can want, including exclusive deals with our partners and affiliates. Recommend you check it out at fluxmotorsport.com. Come on board. We've got races in the Flux European time zone on the European Tour. We've got races in the American time zone on the American Tour. The best in console sim racing right here at Flux Motorsport. Meanwhile, Haynes Dad keeping his pace over Bruce Law as he is out in front at the moment. They have built up a separation to the rest of the field by a slight bit, but he is maintaining the pace with Bruce Law, and that's an intriguing story. As we said, Bruce might be a part-time driver here in the IndyCars, but he is a championship driver in sports cars on the Flux European Tour, and as I said, he won his first and only start in this series. So that is an 800-pound gorilla to see in your rearview mirror. And Haynes Dad, relative newcomer to the series, made a couple of starts towards the end of last season, is having himself a fantastic run, working lap 12 here in the early going. 12 and a half minutes into the 45-minute event. Just round 2 of the championship, though, so time to put the cars together. We're going to give you your track walk. Looks like Darnell's back in the pit lane with some more repairs. Tough luck for him. If he can hang on, he can at least get himself the top 10 points. Got a little separation, so I will do a bit, get ready to do the track walk and then the camera shuffle, as I like to put it. And we'll let Haynes Dad give us that track walk here when he starts lap 14, as he is our leader in that 83 Chevy. As a former winner myself at this track, I can tell you this is it's a very difficult course, but it's immensely rewarding when you nail it. And we get into the cockpit. Starting the lap really starts coming off of turn 9 right here. Don't go too far wide. He's building up the speed. Let's see what kind of top speed he's getting, and that is the key. Look at the top speed he is building, up to 180. We saw other guys only getting into the mid-170s. You go through turn 1, it's a slight blip of the throttle. You're pretty much all out, but you've got to keep the car underneath it. You don't want to get too wide here. He's taking the wide line and then pinching it off, I think in an effort to save the tires. He might have a car that's a little loose, doesn't want to risk going to the inside. This is where you got to burp the throttle. The car will get very light over and bumpy through this section of 3 and 4 as he goes by the lap car. Turn 5 here, you're setting up. You've got to get down to the inside, back on the throttle, over 100 miles an hour. And here's where you got to watch it. Right there in turn 7, that little bump. And now it's flat out. And you want, but despite it being flat out, you need to set up turns 8 and 9. If you come in with too much momentum, you get too wide. You can see him fighting the car, trying to pull him wide. Has to give it a little burp of the throttle to keep it in line. That is a brilliant move. Many guys will overdrive it. And then he comes off the corner well enough that he's going to get right back to his top speed of 180 miles an hour before diving into turn 1. That's a lap around Willow Springs. And that is a guy that not only has his car dialed in, but knows how to drive this place. As he's pacing Bruce. He's opened up 3.7 seconds on Bruce Law now, so he's got to be feeling pretty comfortable. He's coming up through some lap traffic as there are 4 cars. There's 6 cars remaining on the lead lap. 4 cars have been in and are just about going 2 laps down as they have had to make repairs. That's Muttley. It's your boy Squash, who unfortunately, after leading the points and winning last week, is having a tough night. He's back in the pits making more repairs, as is Mark C. and Darnell. Go on to our rotating cameras here with Bruce Law running in second. He is, let's see what he does. Haynes a 102.8 as he's picking up as his fuel burns off. So he's obviously taking care of the tires. Bruce runs a 104.3. So I think that may just be 1 lap, and I may be extrapolating and speaking out of turn here. But if Haynes is picking up speed, he's got a long run car where his tires are holding up while the fuel burns off and the car gets lighter. If Bruce is dropping time towards the end, that could mean he has a shorter run set up on his car. The fuel burn off is not compensating for the amount of tire wear he has, and that's why he's fallen back. We'll have to see. Let's take a look at the next lap and where they end up. But as of right now, as you can see, Bruce is falling back, and Taijo is actually getting into his vicinity there from 3rd place. All right, let's take a look this time when they come by. 103.3 for Haynes. 103.9 for Bruce. So yeah, I think that's probably pretty fair. Bruce's tires are hurting. It's getting close to time to come in for a pit stop. Most guys would choose for around halfway. I can see the benefit of going 15 minutes or going 10 minutes either way of halfway and trying to short pit somebody, get some fresh tires on and make up some time. So I'm surprised we haven't seen guys come in early as soon as the pit window opens. But we might, as of yet, possibly see that. But as of right now, Haynes is just running a steady pace. We saw, as we said, just like we talked about in the qualifying, we're going to see the race pace change, not just because IndyCars have, less turbo boost and race trim than they do in qualifying, so you actually have less power, but because you have to use, especially at a place like Willow Springs, a much less aggressive tire setup to make a long run. Jiggly Jello back in 4th place in the number 20 Carpenter Racing Chevrolet. Jiggly, as we said, drove that thing to a 3rd place finish last week at Daytona. So if he can maintain his place up here near the podium, he'll put himself in very good shape. These cars, of course, coming next week to Long Beach as the Flux American Tour moves slightly west to the most famous street circuit in North America, Long Beach. The Flux American Sports Car Championship and IndyCar Championship next Friday and Saturday night will be in Long Beach, California. So Jiggly could be set up pretty well for that if he can maintain his position right here. But I know he wants to try to move in and get on that podium for the 2nd straight race. That's what every driver wants. Every driver wants to win. Can't win, get on the podium. Can't get on the podium, top 5. Can't get to the top 5, top 10. As we're down to 25 minutes looking back, and there's a bit of a gap back to Cat Guy. Cat Guy has stalled after starting farther back than we expected in 8th. He is now sitting in, he moved up to 5th pretty early and is now kind of stuck there about 26 seconds back from leader Haynes' dad. He was the runner-up in this race last season, so a bit of a surprise. Cat Guy needs to get as many points as he can, the defending champion, after failing to score at Daytona last week. But I know he was hoping for a podium, and as of right now has just not quite found the pace. You see that last lap, 109. He obviously had an off-track excursion, and he appears to have the car underneath him with no damage, but looks like a yeoman's drive for Cat Guy as he's just trying to hang on to this top 5, get to the finish, and score some points. Last car on the lead lap is Survivor in the number 7 Doom Honda, doing what he did much of last season, staying on the lead lap, staying in contention, running in the top half of the field, and he is still very much in contention to get into that top 5 with Cat Guy. We'll have to see how the rest of the race plays out, as we are not even quite at halfway yet, and you've already seen the variety of changes and drama we've seen so far. But Survivor running, car dropping off into the 104s here, as they are obviously late on their fuel run, or their tire run, I should say. But he is definitely lapping that thing along. 103.3 puts it back together that time, so he's gaining time on Cat Guy and was actually faster than the leaders on that lap. So we'll see what Survivor can do here in the back half of this race. 4 cars meanwhile back, and they're racing actually here for 8th place. 2 cars that are bordering on 3 laps down, Mark C and It's Your Boy Squash. We'll get back to that though, as our 4th place car, Jiggly Jello, has hit the pits here with 23.5 minutes to go. So our first lead lap car in the pits, making scheduled pit stops. Now I'm looking for that one who makes the first stop, because I think that you're going to get a couple of laps where you're going to gain some time because of the early pit stop. As Jiggly makes the stop, he's coming out. Here comes Cat Guy from 5th place, same deal. Might be short pitting, hoping to pit 2, 3, 4 laps before the guys in front of you and maybe gain 5 or 10 seconds on the fresh tires. And that's what Cat Guy is going to be looking to do here, just looking to get something, as Survivor comes in behind him as well. So 4, 5, and 6, the back half of the cars on the lead lap, all coming in here on lap 21. And we have our leader, Haynes' dad, hitting the pit lane himself in the Nova Nordisk car. So everybody coming in right around halfway. And we're looking to see who can make the clean stop. Our timing, see, Cat Guy has 4 seconds of penalty. Survivor has 2. Those are inconsequential at the moment. Haynes' dad appears to have made a clean pit stop, fuel and tires, and he will be back out. Meanwhile, that cycles Bruce Law into the lead. He has now led in both of his career Flux IndyCar starts. And we'll see how long he waits to come into the pits, whether he'll stay out there much longer than the guys he's racing, and whether or not he can gain any time. They were 5, 6 seconds back from leader Haynes when they came in. Will he gain? Will he lose? That's racing. And no, it looks like Bruce Law, no, he is coming in. So Bruce Law, with a very late go, we'll hope he got in cleanly. I don't see the red light coming up, so he should be okay, as he and Taijo both pitting together. And while they make their fuel and tire stop, we're going to take a look at Haynes' dad. Look at the arrow. He's coming through turn 8 right now. I have to believe he is going to get back by these guys and retake the lead here through the cycle of pit stops. I see them rolling. Looks like Bruce Law is rolling. Taijo's rolling, and Haynes' dad passes them as they're coming off the pit lane. We will wait until they make it around the lap and see if that gap gain. Last time I checked, it was 5 seconds to Bruce Law, 7 seconds to Taijo. But it looks like Bruce Law, he's being held up. Taijo is on his way out. Bruce Law is having a slow pit stop. That is definitely a slow pit stop for Bruce Law. He has been in there. I don't know if he has some engine damage, perhaps overheating something, making some kind of repairs, but he has been in there a lot longer than you would have expected. He is in there a lot longer than you would have expected. And now Cat Guy passes him as he falls back to 5th. He's falling back a lap down. So sudden drama for Bruce Law. Looks like it's taken him out of contention. That is unfortunate. We'll have to check in on him. But meanwhile, back up front, Haynes' dad looks like he and Taijo have settled in 6.1 seconds. It looks like Taijo may have gained a second or two on the cycle of pit stops. But that appears to be it. But whatever's wrong with Bruce Law, he is still in the pit lane. Now fully 1 lap down. Survivors now passed him to move into 5th, so he is having some kind of problem, and Bruce Law is out. We have our first retirement of the race. Bruce Law running up as high as in the lead through the cycle of pit stops. As high as in the lead through the cycle of pit stops. And Bruce is done. We'll have to get word from the pit lane as to what happened to Bruce Law, perhaps some type of mechanical issue, but that leaves us with 9 cars on the track as we are inside of 20 minutes remaining, working lap 24 here at Willow Springs. Haynes' dad working on a 6-second lead on Taijo. But that shuffles everything up, moves Cat Guy up to 4th, Muttley getting back into the pit lane now from 6th place. And we have 4 cars remaining on the lead lap here at Willow Springs. So Taijo gained a little bit of time on the cycle of pit stops. 2 schools of thought: either gaining time when you come in for new tires, or you're gaining time because you're still on hot tires running on low fuel. Taijo appeared to have done that. He's lapping right along with Haynes' dad, but looking at a 5.7 second deficit at the moment. And you know what Taijo's thinking. Got his first win in the Flux ASC last night here. Would love to make it a perfect weekend at Willow Springs and win the IndyCar race as well. Taijo 4th place in round 1, so he is definitely, whether or not he can catch Haynes' dad, he's definitely improving his position as It's Your Boy Squash hitting the pit lane. We'll get some time to It's Your Boy here in the Hydroxycut car. Won from the pole last week, his first win in an IndyCar race a week ago at Daytona. Came in here all through practice earlier, was one of the fastest cars. Came out, won the pole. And we really looked to possibly him being a guy who could drive away from the field here, but it just has not happened. He got into some early trouble. He's made multiple pit stops for damage, and now he's just trying to drive his way into the best possible points finish he can. But the speed he has shown this season, that is definitely a championship contender. Make no mistake about it. And I fully anticipate to see him right back up front at Long Beach. Give a shout out to Darnell in his NTT data car running in 9th place. He's several laps down. Did not, as you can see, struggling right there. He is struggling with the setup of that car. Darnell has shown some pace in other vehicles, but he is just gritting it out, trying to get a finish, as we have another car making a tire and or damage stop. Mark C, a driver who had a lot of bad luck in this series last season, looks like it's continuing for him right now. Meanwhile, any stories up front is that it appears Taijo moving in. Haynes' dad lost a second on that last lap, running 104.2s. We're going to have to see if they can get the fuel down and get the lap times back down, because this could definitely turn into something here. We still have a lot of time left in this race, 16 minutes, working lap 27 of what I anticipate will be somewhere in the range of 42 to 45 laps. As Mark C makes it out of the pits, gets passed by It's Your Boy Squash for 7th. Every one of those positions worth points, and worth vital points. Taijo, as I said, comes over here to the American Tour, a veteran of running on the Flux European sports car races, and he has really made a name for himself. The ASC, the GTE cars, he ran the Ford all season last season, took his lumps, worked on the car, has come out this season and been quick. Been in the top 5 both races, as I said before. Picked up his first career win in the series last night, the first for the Ford Performance GTE as well in the series. And now he's out here running very quick in the IndyCars as well. After finishing 4th last week at Daytona, he has come out here and really put the rubber to the road. And it appears as though he's moving in slowly. If you're following on the track map there, the arrow is the car we're on. Any dots in white are cars on the same lap to the cars they're on. Do not want to do that. Sorry about that. And let's see, 103.3 for Haynes, 102.5 for Taijo. That is an 0.8 gain. He is definitely gaining on Haynes' dad here. I don't know if Haynes' dad, I'm sure he took fuel and tires when he stopped. And if you remember, Haynes' dad picked up speed towards the end of the run. He definitely had a long run car, but he's going to have to hold out because Taijo is coming. There is no doubt that Taijo is coming. And Haynes' dad, we saw it last night though, when Taijo was in the opposite position. He was in the lead. He had faster cars coming up on him. And Dale the Whale first couldn't get to him and work the air, and then Cat Guy couldn't get to him when he held on. So catching someone and passing them are two completely different things, as the old axiom goes here at Willow Springs. That dirty air, which causes that aero understeer or aero push, as us Americans call it, is very difficult to deal with. Your best passing zones are turn 1, turn 9, and through the carousel. And the simple fact is that that's where you're getting the most dirty air, the most disruption to the car. But look at that, 103.8, 102.0 on that last lap. Taijo is just chewing up Haynes' dad right now with 13 minutes to go. Running the fastest laps on the track, with the exception of It's Your Boy Squash, who now several laps down is going for that fastest lap bonus. He just put up a 102.0. Let me take a check on that for you real quick. Squash has a 1:01.4, which is currently the fastest lap on the track. I don't see anybody this late in the race possibly putting that up, maybe towards the end of the session, especially if they come in and make a superfluous tire stop, as Mark C's back in the pit lane getting more repairs, unfortunately for him. We're going to have a battle here, so let's check out these guys lapping their way around. Jiggly Jello now comfortably in 3rd place. He's got some 15 seconds on Cat Guy, and he's some 20 seconds back to Taijo. Seeing those times fall off, we'll see where he ends up after this lap, but the last lap, a 105, tells me he had a little bit of problems. But Jiggly, a veteran of this series in the inaugural season last season, and was looking for big things this season. He finished on the podium last week at Daytona, as he brought it home in 3rd place, and he's looking to possibly get his 2nd consecutive podium of the to start the season. And that would be a great way to start the season. It would keep him right there in the championship heading into Long Beach. And that's what he's been looking for, just smooth, consistent drives. He was known for that last season, and he's done it again this season. But, oh, does he get banged up there going through turn 3? And that's the problem. I think that car's definitely gone away on him. He's running up in the 105s, and if that continues, then Cat Guy may have a shot at getting to him for that podium spot. So we'll have to wait and see on that as well. Cat Guy, one heck of a race. As we said, it was a dream season in the inaugural Flux IndyCar Championship last season for him. He won 4 of 7 races on his way to the inaugural championship, but this season hasn't started off that way. He got into a major accident at Daytona last week and did not score points, failed to finish. This week he came out and only managed to qualify in 8th, which was a bit of a disappointment for him. But he has been steadily moving up through the field, lapping at a not blistering but a consistent pace, and now finds himself up in the 4th. Last car on the lead lap, 39 seconds back. And he still has a shot at Jiggly Jello. Jiggly struggling with that car. And Cat Guy 11 seconds back with around that many laps to go. Knows that Jiggly's going to be feeling the pressure on that podium. And getting on that podium is worth it. He's definitely going to be going for it. It looks like we may have a race for position between Muttley and Survivor for 5th place, a couple of laps down. We'll check in on that momentarily as well. There's Muttley. You're going to see Survivor in the background just coming into the screen. Muttley is 2 laps down the leader right now, but has moved up to 5th place. Muttley started, I believe, 6th. He had a decent qualifying run, but had to make an early stop for damage. He has had some terrible luck, as it looks like Jiggly Jello's gone around. He's lost a wing. Jiggly has lost a wing. He must have got into some kind of schmozzle, and that is just heartbreaking. He'll hope he can get out, get it repaired, and stay in 4th place, but that is going to cost him a shot at his 2nd straight podium to start the season. So right now it's just damage control. He's got to get into the pits, try to get that car repaired and out as quick as possible, and hang on to 4th place, but he's certainly going to lose a lap, and that's going to take away his chances for the podium. So just as we were talking about it, Cat Guy just grinding away, and coming from an 8th place starting spot is going to wind up doing exactly what he hoped to do coming in here. End up on the podium, get some points, get on the board, and start rebuilding his run towards the championship this season. And we'll see if Jiggly can come out ahead of Muttley and Survivor. Well, we may have a battle for 4th and 5th place brewing on the cars a couple of laps down. Meanwhile, let's get into the cockpit here in the final 8 minutes of Taijo. He can see Haynes' dad up in front of him. That makes such a big difference to a motor racer when you can see that car in front of you now. You've been looking at the times come down, but now you can see it. But these cars travel more than a football field a second. Haynes has finally started bringing those laps down. Look at that lap time, 1:02.4. We'll see what Haynes gets this time. But as I said, this was a guy whose car in the first run came in late. But he's still losing time. He ran a 1:03 that time. He's down to 1:02.4 for Taijo. So Taijo is absolutely moving in on him, slowly but surely. But as we said, catching a guy and passing him are 2 completely different things. But it is going to be Chevy versus Honda here. Haynes' dad struggling right there going through turn 3, and he is just getting, you got to believe he's getting eaten up right now. He is having trouble. Comes by the lapped car of Darnell, who does a good job getting out of the way, but this is now on here in the last 8 minutes. Taijo is there on Haynes' dad. So Haynes' dad took the lead early in the race, has led almost the whole way besides the cycle of pit stops after starting on the outside front row. But Taijo, looking to complete the weekend sweep on the Flux American Tour, is moving in on him. Jiggly Jello did get out and repaired. He is comfortably in 4th place, so should be able to hang on to that 4th place finish and get some good championship points. But Cat Guy is now comfortably himself in 1st. Now they've got lap traffic to deal with as well, as they are coming up through back markers who are blue flags are definitely out, but Taijo is right there. Now the irony in this, for those of you regular Flux TV viewers, is last night right here at this track in the Flux American Sports Car Championship in the GTEs, and that's Survivor spinning to get out of the way. And that may cost him his shot at moving up into the top 5. But anyhow, as we saw in last night's race, Taijo was in front. He fought off waves of attackers from Dale the Whale to Cat Guy, both of which appeared to have faster cars at the time, because he could not make the pass at this track. Now keep in mind, there is one other factor to keep in mind, and I will check it right now, is push to pass. Haven't mentioned it so far in this race, but these cars have 10 push to pass, gives you a 50 horsepower boost for 10 seconds. Haynes' dad has 5 left. Taijo has 3 left. Other guys appear to have plenty, but I don't believe that's going to make a difference. What matters here is Haynes' dad and Taijo, as Taijo appears to be on his. Nope. And there he goes. Lap 37. Taijo has made the pass through the carousel and taken the lead from Haynes' dad on lap 37 inside of 6 minutes. It seemed to be just a matter of time, but then Taijo loses it. Taijo loses it. He catches it, does not bang up the car, but wow. Just made the pass for the lead coming through the carousel, gets down through turn 3 into turn 4, loses the traction on it, And he's right back where he started now with 5.5 minutes to go. But it looks like he did not damage the car. It looks like he kept the car underneath him, so he's going to have another shot at it. Let's see if he can pull his composure down and make that pass for the win a second time. Going out wide, kicking up some sand. It just looks like Taijo has the faster car. And as we get down to these last few minutes, he's on it right now. Taijo is absolutely tearing into that push to pass. Trying to set up Hainstad. Let's give our fans and viewers what they want here. We'll take a look at Taijo's cockpit cam as he's trying to set up that move. I'll be ready to go trackside as soon as he makes the move. As Survivor hits the pitch yet again, obviously taking a little bit of damage, and that might cost him 6th place, which will be music to the ears of It's Your Boy Squash in his recovery drive. But meanwhile, off into the sand there, Haynes is struggling with that car, and he's got 4.5 minutes, so at least 5 laps to go. But look at that dirty air. Look at Taijo fight that car. Got to believe Hainstad's going to be on that push to pass. I believe he is. Going to use it every lap down now on the front straight to try to take away, because turn one in the carousel, definitely 2 of the best passing zones on the track. And I believe he knows that. I believe Hainstad knows that. I believe he's going to save his push to passes for that section of the track and force Taijo to do it in turn 9 or somewhere much more difficult. This here through turn 4 is where Taijo's had his trouble. He takes it easy that time. But this is doing just like the IndyCar races last season were. Nobody brings it to you like Flux Motorsport. This is compelling stuff. Hainstad and Taijo both looking for their first career win in the Flux IndyCar Championship. Taijo got his first career win in the Flux American Sports Car Championship just 24 hours ago on this same course. He's looking for the weekend sweep. Hainstad qualified on the outside front row. He is doing everything he can. These guys are running down in the 102s now. Ooh, they were going to make contact there just slightly as Taijo goes to the inside and makes the pass for the moment, but he may not have the preferred line. I think he might have it, though. Taijo just seems to have the better car right now. Makes the pass in 1 and through the carousel. And that may be the pass to do it. It took him 3 laps to set it back up here on lap 40. And if he can hang on through this section, I think that Taijo may have the car to do this and may have his first career IndyCar victory. Heartbreaking for Hainstad. He held on as long as he could. There was a slight bit of contact in turn 1, but that was really just incidental. 2 cars going for the same piece of real estate. We'll see what the lap times are, but it looks to me like unless Hainstad can catch that draft and set him up, Taijo may have this in the bag, as It's Your Boy Squash did in fact move up into 6th place. Big news in the championship. Does Hainstad have anything for Taijo? I don't think so. He was 7/10 off that last lap. I think the tires are gone on him. I'm going to say this. I think Hainstad drove a terrific race. Well, you can see Taijo struggling a little bit too, so this is far from over. This is not yet in the books. They're going to take that line. We're going to have to see if they've got 1 or 2 more laps to go. I just think Taijo's got too much car underneath him for Hainstad at this point, unless Taijo makes a mistake. Hains out of push to pass. Taijo 1 left. Cat guy hitting the pit lane. Wonder what's going on here. Possibly fuel. Or maybe he just ran out of tires. Maybe he figures he has got himself comfortably in position to finish in 3rd place, so he's going to go ahead and stay there. Not sure if we've got the white flag. Cat guy's definitely going to make that pit stop near the end, take a splash of fuel, and hang on to his podium spot. But meanwhile, The battle for the win. Hainsdad trying. There's some debris on the track there in turn 4 that they both managed to avoid. Been that kind of show. Taijo goes wide. Taijo goes wide. And Hainsdad goes by him. Both of them going out into the sand. I don't know that they're going to make it around for another lap. That might be for the win, as Taijo hung on as hard as he could. But that might have put Hainsdad back by. Yes, this is going to be the final lap. Who's got it coming off the final corner? No one's got pushed to pass. It's going to be Hainsdad for his first career Flux IndyCar Championship victory. Wow, what a finish. Taijo coming wide on the last lap, getting into the sand. Haynes, with a sympathy mistake, went right off with him, but kept it closer to the inside, got the car back going. We're going to forever know that one as the pass in the sand. That is forever going to be known in Flux lore as the pass in the sand. As you saw it yourself, Taijo with the lead came wide. Haynes also went wide, but held it closer to the track, pulled it back in, and made it stick. And with it, picks up his first career Flux IndyCar Championship victory here at Willow Springs. And you know he is on cloud 9 at the moment. What a run, what a race between him and Taijo. Had a fantastic battle. Taijo wanted to get the weekend sweep, just barely managed to miss out on it, but I believe he will likely take the points lead with that second place finish. But wow, what a finish here at Willow Springs. All right, folks, your final results for the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2, Round 2 of the IndyCar Championship at Willow Springs, picking up his very first Flux IndyCar Championship win. Hainsdad in the 83 car with what is going to go down in history as the pass in the sand on the final lap to win at Willow Springs. Heartbreak for the second place finisher, Taijo. He had a great weekend here at Willow Springs, winning last night in the GTEs, and then coming out here tonight and running a fantastic race. Just doesn't work out for him at the end. He comes home in second, likely unofficially will take the points lead heading into round 3 at Long Beach next week. Great recovery drive from Cat Guy. He came out, needed to get some points this week for the defending champion, qualified at 8th, was lamenting in the pre-race about the setup he had under the car, but he managed to drive that thing home into 3rd place. He'll be back on the podium. That's his 6th career podium, the all-time record here in Flux Motorsport for the IndyCar Championship. And Cat Guy manages to get there. That's why he's a champion. Great drive from him. Heartbreak for Jiggly Jello. He brings it home in 4th place, but has a terrific run. He's going to be very close to the top of the points board after that one as well. Muttley drives that thing home in 5th place. Ended up 2 laps down to the leaders by the end of it, but Muttley drives it home to 5th place with a solid run. Tough run for It's Your Boy Squash. Last week's winner at Daytona took his 2nd straight pole. Could not keep it together as he had trouble earlier in the race. He ends up 4 laps down, but does take home 6th place points. 7th place for Survivor in the Doom car. It's Your Boy Squash also took home the fastest lap bonus as well, I should mention. 8th place for Mark C. Another tough outing for him, and he brings it home in 8th. Darnell comes home in 9th place. Bruce Law did not finish. He was also a front runner. All right, so that is going to do it for us here at Willow Springs. The Flux American Tour will be moving on next week to Long Beach Friday and Saturday night for the American Sports Car Championship and round 3 with these Indy cars. We'll also see the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship Tuesday, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Thursday you will see the Flux GT1 Championship, which will be over here stateside. The Europeans hopping over. They will be right here at Willow Springs this week for the Flux GT1 Championship. So for Flux TV, this is Carlin Hicks. Check us out at fluxmotorsport.com. I want to thank you again. Congratulations to our podium finishers and to Hainsdad once again. We will see you next time.